Go everyone. Bless the How is everyone? Alright, I'll try again. I just tried this, but fuck it. Um, okay. Well, we're going to try this. I'm going to go. There's been a few things over the past few weeks that I've done my nut, and something came back up again that from a while that's been happening since that I've been hearing since February. And we're gonna devolve into a couple of things from there on. First things first, I does anyone anywhere know about what's going on with Russian racism? I did a program on this, but like Anglo-Saxon West, what are you talking about? Like, that is actually stupid. When you actually think about it, it's stupid. Why? Well, I will explain. The President of America he claimed he claimed Irish blood. He might have some Anglo-Saxon blood in him, but he claims Irish blood. Therefore, he claims Celtic descendancy. Um, you then have the majority of Europe. I would say that is not Anglo-Saxon either. Like on multiple levels. So, what are they talking about when they say the Anglo-Saxon West? Because either it's that, or they for some reason are focusing on England, which in of itself is not fully Anglo-Saxon, or Britain, which isn't fully Anglo-Saxon, I should say. Even England isn't, but still. So what? They're just saying that everyone's English. It's ridiculous. I just can't believe. It just confuses it. It's like I've got cognitive dissonance over it. It's silly, I know, but fuck it. We then go on to the Casey report. Now, this might bore people, but this Casey report into the London Met, and wow, wow. If you look into the analysis of it, it's actually horrific. Like they do the way that they try to make it seem like there's nothing wrong, despite the fact that in the police force itself, where you have police staff and their families trying to put in misconduct allegations, and the majority of them have no case to answer. Yes, that could be just a case of it being allegations that have no case to answer, or it could be a more sinister case of brushing it under the fucking rug. What pisses me off more about this is that if you were to look at the PDF on the Met website, try and find it. The graphs on it, you see that the substantial rise in allegations and ones that just and not only allegations, but allegations with no case to answer and that just don't get completed, rise substantially after Boris Johnson comes in with his 20,000 new police officer recruitment drive. What I make the allegation that what they did was ignore the regulations that are meant that are for recruiting. They ignored the standards and regulations for recruiting. So I'll find it. Casey Baroness Casey review. It's just, oh. The report into misconduct. It's absolutely disgusting. See how I can grab this here. Right. No. Right. I should be able to see this. Right. See if I can see that. Now, look at the top of the graph. Yeah. See if I can raise the. See, if I raise the brightness too much, you can't see shit at all. Yeah. I know it's backwards, but if you look at the top, look how much worse it gets after right at the top. Right. If you get this yourselves, see if I can. See, the shine's gonna. See, yeah. I know it's backwards, but if you can make that out, at the top, it's 2018-19 financial. These are done by the financial years. The 2018-19 financial year was the year that, at the end of that year was when Boris Johnson came in, right? Now, look how much worse it's that the red line starts jumping up before the pandemic even starts. So in 2019, it already started getting worse when Boris Johnson came in with his drive for 20,000 new police officers. He was saying this before the election. Here's another one. So in this one, the orange line is allegations dismissed, and the blue one is allegations leading to dismissals. Right? Now, again, it's backwards. So you see how here it just there's no account, like it gets worse. This means it gets worse and worse and worse. The dotted line says that after 2018-19, the number of allegations which have not been assessed is too large to allow for meaning analysis or comparison. This is particularly true for observing gross misconduct allegations, which typically take longer to finalize, right? It got worse after Boris came in. There's more of it. Trying to find the graph I had. Where is it? Like I said, you can find this yourself. Download the PDF. This graph as well. Yeah. Again, if you take a closer look at it, it's not been great for the entire decade, but it gets worse at the end. That red line constitutes unknowns. And the unknowns get so much worse during the pandemic. But they start before the pandemic even starts itself. So to me, that says there's already a breakdown before the pandemic started. So I will not, I can't accept that it's not that Boris wasn't a factor. I'm not saying this is all Boris's fault, by the way. I'm not an absolutist, but Boris Johnson is a large part and reason why this happened. Ouch! Shift. Line. Hold on. Bloody dog. It does. It gets worse and worse, and I couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe it. The stuff I was reading, the stuff I was hearing about, of pimps being recruited. They found pimps, or at least a pimp. What the fuck? Officers with a record of domestic and sexual abuse still in the service. And yes, I will call it a service because we refused to call it a force. In this country, we have a police service, not a police force. Police services, not police forces. It just drives me mad. And you'll get people talking absolute bollocks just so that they can get you okay. You get people talking absolute shite on these national programs, spouting their point of view, which doesn't help. After subjects they talk about, yes, we should be talking about, but the way they talk about it is not helpful whatsoever. There's no solutions in it, no good solutions or helpful solutions. They don't even try. It's absolutely stupid. Why are what I mean? The whole thing gets me at cognitive dissonance. The regulations, there's a regulation called Regulation 13, and it is used to dismiss officers. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll be more definite on this. What is Regulation 13? Regulation 13, police. Right. Regulation 13, discharge of a probationer of the police regulations provides the grounds on which Chief Constable may dispense with the services of a student officer at any time during their probationary period. The rate of use that went up by after Boris came in is absolutely stupid. Absolutely ridiculous. But no, that's not important. If that's what's happening in the Met Police, what does the rest of the country look like? If that's not serious, what the fuck is? Just my view. There's another thing. I seen stuff with Tom Rousel. Hang on. Where is it? He did a lecture. Well, not a lecture, but he was speaking at, I think, Gresham College. What was it? Okay. I've gone mad, I think. Videos. That's it. Pagan tradition in a globalized future. This was utterly brilliant. Hang on. No. Mute. Skip. I was rather impressed with Tom Rowsell, and there were quite a few things that he said that got me, and I don't. It's it's the whole thing of it's how there are right wing and left wing ideas, and there are conservative, small c conservative, and progressive views within the pagan community. There are socialists and right wingers, and I'm live. Go away. I'm live. Go away. Interruptions. It just yeah. I did one anyway. But yeah, it just there are left wingers and right wingers in the UK, in the pagan community, and centrists and anarchists. Well, those tend to be left wingers as well, though, I suppose. And when I've seen other pagans in my past, out in the street, I see other people laugh at them. I also see people laugh at me when I go out in the street now, because I am an open pagan. I walk around with my staff and whatnot. Just I'm openly pagan. I don't care what people think. But the point of it is we need to get past this seeming vulnerability of feeling that we aren't important. We don't need to get involved. We are a part. Our culture is part of this country. Of what makes this country what it is. So pagans, whether that's heathens, whether that's Celtic pagans, whether you're neo-pagan, the eclectic pagan, whether you're Scandinavian pagan, Germanic, Central European pagan, Slavic pagan, it doesn't matter. But if you're in Britain and you're in the pagan community, and you see everyone else's cultures being represented in it on national conversations and stuff, then surely we also should have a right to have a part of that conversation, considering we make up a quite fast growing part of this island, of the community on these islands. It's not a bullshit point. There are a lot of us now, and we're still growing. We don't have to behave like the institutionalized religions, but if we are to no longer be seen as a joke, then we ourselves have to take ourselves a little bit more seriously. I I go looking for pagan rites in the UK, and Christians, in terms of marriages, Christians are the only ones that can go into a church, get married, and the people in the church can do the whole fucking legal side of it. What? From what I've seen, they are looking to change the rules, but it's only a possibility at this point. To legally be seen as for paganism as a people to be seen legally by the state as a people, would be great. But 2019, 2020, and 2021, and probably before that, the where is it? Petition, that was the word I was thinking of. The petition to make paganism a recognised religion in the UK and legalise pagan weddings, etc. Right, and their response was just, we it's not clear what the petition is asking the UK government or Parliament to do. They just said, it just fucking said, what are you talking about? It's ridiculous. Can't believe it. And yet, what are the laws in your country was, but the other peoples are represented and seen legally legally represented. Yet we are still looked at as a joke. Yes, it's probably almost better not to be looked as a joke instead of the enemy. But I still get people fucking telling me to repent my sins in the middle of the fucking street by Christians. I get weird looks by Muslims and Jews. So, and yes, I've been able to point these to I've been able to pick these people out when they've been giving me weird looks, and normal people give me weird looks. Normal people, you know, no matter what you are, most people give me weird looks anyway. But when you got Christians and Muslims and Jews giving me inordinate weird reactions, that says to me that they are still anti-pagan, which means that considering the establishment is made up of Jews, Muslims, and Christians, largely, that we are still going to be ignored and looked down on, and we're not. It's not going to stop unless we can actually make our voices heard. It might sound like I'm talking into the wind on this one, but I literally don't care. And we are looked at as a joke. Oh, Harry Potter. No, it's not fucking Harry Potter, you bellends. Not only that, but paganism in Britain has a rich history. We still, to this day, use pagan Germanic pagan names for the days of the week. Anglo-Saxon ones in our country. Tuesday, Dew. Warden, Wardensdag, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Tunor, Freya, Free. It drives me mad. I have had enough of pagans being ignored. I know that it might be a tired point in some people's opinions, but in his own view, Tom Rousel sees a threat from transhumanists, especially, and I get where he's coming from. I really do, but I also think that whilst we need to conserve our traditions, we also need to be able to adapt and progress as well. These things are not mutually unintelligible. To me, anyway. For example, each time paganism has re-emerged, it has re-emerged differently. It's come out in a different way. Now it's come back out in the modern era. It's going to evolve, just like what happens in biological science, in what happens in evolutionary biology. Everything evolves. Yes, some things are conserved and some things are kept, but not all of it. Half the time, not even most of it. When you look at the science, like I said, my paganism is mixed in with my scientific outlook on life, so slightly unique on that outlook. Now we'll move on to Sneaky Sunak. Yes. I heard some weird things. It's been a bit weird since he came in, Sneaky Sunak, Rishi. Risky Rishi. He's, he seems, like I said, I mean, when he came in on, I did a reaction to him on Downing Street, and something was pointing to me out. It was pointed out on, what was it? I think it was Political X earlier. No, that was it. Sunday Brunch earlier. Political X and Maximilian Robespierre, and it was really quite funny. They're saying how Rishi Sunak seemed to have like Tony Blair as an inspiration, sort of. And I could see it, but I could also see the blatant differences. And not just his skin. Don't be stupid. But yeah, like what? What? Yeah, I can see where he's trying. I can see what they're saying. You can see he's, but for me, it's like Rishi Sunak is trying harder. He's trying too hard in too many different directions. That's the other weird thing going on with Rishi. He comes in with his, this is going to be a government of integrity and all that, and I've not seen much of it. I've not seen much integrity so far. We've had Cruella Braveman, Leaky Sue, whatever people want to call her, turning up at Marsden Airport, at the Marsden site, Masford site, I think, Mansted, in a Chinook, a fucking Chinook, when she wasn't even fucking, she didn't, what I've seen, she didn't even go with the helicopter out to sea. So what was the point? It was just for her ego. Jeremy Hunt is likely to take us, is looking like he is going to take us into austerity 2.0, and there's nothing we can do about it. It looks like they won't be able to go as hard as they did the first time round because they haven't got the bounty to feed off that Labour had given them when it comes to the public sector and such. So there's not really much they can cut. They're going to have to raise taxes, and they're going to have to raise taxes on the rich as a consequence for trying to cut taxes on the rich. It's really hilarious. It's really, really hilarious. And yes, the polls are starting to come back down a bit for Labour, but they're not dropping sharply. That's not what I've seen. And I will not have the argument of, oh, I'm not voting for Starmer. Oh, I'm not. You don't vote for Starmer. If you vote in Britain, you don't vote for the leader. You vote for the party. Look at the policies, not the leader. I don't care who the leader is at this point. What are the policies? What are they going to do? That's what I want to know. So, yeah, there are problems with Starmer. There are problems with Corbyn, and Corbyn was the one who actually got me into politics. So, no, but it's not about them. It's not about the leader. We don't vote for the Prime Minister. We vote for the party. We vote for our local MPs, and we choose which party. We don't choose the leader. But so many people seem to fall under this illusion. Oh, I'm voting for this party because I want to vote for that leader. It's why Boris Johnson got the vote, because he somehow managed to fool people that he was one of them. Oh, I warn people not to trust Boris Johnson, not to listen to him. This is a man who hid in a meat freezer. It wasn't even a fridge, it was a meat freezer. To stop him, to avoid being questioned about his bullshit. fucking ridiculous. And people are like, oh no, I want my Brexit. Got your Brexit. Do you like your Brexit? I don't. I find it utterly ridiculous. Oh, you just gotta wait. We haven't got the right Brexit. No, we got the Brexit that you asked for because you want Boris Johnson. Either that, or you got to admit, you have to admit to yourself, you were lied to. Pretty simple. And you believe that lie. And that's what it comes down to. I'm not going to beat around the bush on this. If you voted for Brexit, you believed lies. It's just, that is how it is. Look at how much has gone wrong because of Brexit. We would be we wouldn't be in as weak a position if we hadn't been through Brexit. The Scots wouldn't be as pissed at us if we hadn't been through Brexit. The rest of the world wouldn't be as pissed at us or taking the piss out of us as much if it wasn't for fucking Brexit. So, and it's not only that, it's ruined our politics. Labour have to say, oh, we're not going to fuck around with Brexit just so they can get in at the next election. You get people on Novara media and whatnot complaining about that, but I'm with Phil on this one. You need to get the target voters on side. It's not about, in this next election, it's not going to be about what's sorted. It's about getting the Tories out so that more sensible politicians can take their place, so we can actually have proper politics, so we can actually have the country actually being run for a change, run for the country, being run for the country, not being run for Tory donors. So yeah, I just can't believe we are at this point. You know, the stuff I hear about education, sometimes it's good, sometimes most of it's bad. I love education. I love to learn continually. There are a lot of people that think it's just boring. I don't. I think learning is great. But where are the incentives? Where are the incentives to learn? Now you've got people saying that universities are bad. No, I'm not saying that universities are universally good, but education has not been. Leaving it to the private sector isn't any good. Yeah, we'll now move on to the whole thing about private sector. Wow. In my view, perhaps not everything, but most things to do with how we run this, how the country runs, should be publicly owned. So that does mean the water. And on water, Thatcher sold our water off to private companies with them promising that they'd upgrade the system. During the summer, when we complained to them about our systems, they came back with the complaint, oh, it's our Victorian systems. You were the ones who said you'd update the systems, you pricks. That's your fault. But no, the government fucking gives them subsidies instead of punishing them. What? Again, cognitive dissonance. I cannot believe it. It is stupid. And then there's the rail. Like, the amount of people that have problems with the railway. I grew up around the railway. It used to run better under Labour when I was younger, but it was still, even back then, it wasn't perfect. some of my family who work in the railway, they have advocated for the public ownership of the railway, because private companies don't do it for the good of the people; they do it for profit, which means and those profits don't go into investment. Otherwise, our railways would look a lot better. Postal service, bring post office and whatnot, the Royal Mail, bring all that back under public ownership. Housing. Now, this is a difficult one, but like, where is the funding for better built, more economic housing? I'm one that believes in social housing on this front. Yes, you should have the right to own your own home as well, but that's all about choice. But if you haven't got the choice, you need somewhere to live, and this is supposed to be a country that cares for its people, and not just a country that, oh, you got to do it all yourself, because that mentality doesn't work wholesale, because there are a lot of people that don't have that will never, that are likely never to be able to make it, because they don't have the resources to start with. And it's not always, and blaming it on them having a lazy attitude is of no use either. Yes, that does happen, but quite often it's because they can't get the contacts, they can't get the resources, they can't get the money. So it's a limited pool. When it comes to housing, the whole thing needs to be relooked at and bring a lot of it under public ownership. The NHS, wow. Oh. Hearing that we're heading into really tough times with the NHS, and it's already being stripped to the bone. Private contracts here, there, and everywhere. This is not what the NHS was supposed to be. It was not supposed to be there as a thing to hand out private contracts from. That's what they do. The government hands the NHS money, they hand out contracts, and have to deal with whatever money they got left. It's stupid. It needs top down relook at things, and yeah, we're taking away a bunch of that private bollocks. I'd bring in social care under the umbrella of the NHS, actually under the umbrella, not just partly in it, because we saw during the pandemic the state that the amount of problems in having such a disconnected and disjointed system when it comes to social care, because the one, they are under the NHS, but I think given the NHS at the moment is, different parts of the NHS aren't connected. Again, this is where I would bring in a wholesale rethink when it comes to the NHS. All of them need to be connected so that information can pass freely. The technology needs to be updated. The computer systems need to be updated. Funding actually needs to go to into this, not just said it's going into it. Money goes, it looks like it's going there, but it never ends up where it's supposed to, because it ends up going to a private funky company. I can't help but get really pissed off at this. We've got North Korea and South Korea getting all fucking antsy with each other, and Japan getting all fucking about it at the same time. Kind of feel sorry for the Japanese on this one. That looks like it's going to get worse. I would not like to predict what's going to continue to happen in Iran. I just don't. I have no idea. I would. It's like trying to predict what's going to happen in politics in this country at the moment. I wouldn't deign to guess what's about to happen next. I don't. I wouldn't. I'm not going to try. Iran is even worse. The news is Russia and Ukraine. I hear people talk about Trump coming in. That's dangerous. If Trump in America comes back in as president in America, and what's going on in Russia and what's going on in Ukraine with Russia is still going on, that's a very bad situation. That's a big problem. And I'm not sure what the likelihood is at this point of Trump coming back in, because it will make the whole Ukraine Russia situation so much worse. Now, as it is, with the infrastructure strikes that Russia are taking against Ukraine, it's beginning to limit what Ukraine can do. I am a proponent for increased support to Ukraine. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what their current situation is. Bring them into the EU, bring them into NATO. Make Russia back off. Take a forward action. It might annoy a bunch of people, but given how weak Russia's proved to show itself to be, comparatively, would they risk a full-on war with NATO? Yes, there are arguments, but within NATO, but all Putin did was drag us closer together. So I can see that I can see there being some big problems for Putin on that front, but only again as long as the support from the Americans keeps coming, and if it doesn't, then we in Britain, with our limited resources, and the EU need to take up the slack. I didn't have a problem with Olaf Scholz going to China. The simple fact is that someone from the West needs to maintain contact and try and calm things down with China. It's not likely to work, but someone needs to try. The EU did very well in stocking up on gas, on liquid natural gas, so not going to be as dependent on Russia. So that's less dangerous at the very least. But like I said, the things that really drive me mad at the moment, stuff like Suella Braverman. Just why is she Home Secretary? Why has she not had a full investigation put into her at this point? Because she's obviously lying to the House of Commons. The 2 times that she's made a statement to the House of Commons about this subject, it seems that she has lied. So why isn't the Privileges Committee or Standards Committee looking at her? I would be bringing that up. Be interesting to see what the results of the Labour motion on pensions, how that's going to end up. Because that could very well be interesting. I'm not as politically astute as others, but I'm not sure Rishi Sunak is going to know exactly how to deal with it. It could be that I could be wrong, and there's something that I have no idea about that the Tory camp has hidden up their sleeve for this in particular. Like they have an answer for this. But this could very well make Phil from a different bias is right. This could very well make things difficult for Rishi Sunak and the Tories, considering that a large part of their voter base are retirees and pensioners. So I would be I will I'll probably do a reaction video for that if I can, if I can find it. But I'll do some kind of video on it because that is damn interesting. We have. I have heard no news on on former Transport Secretary Grant Shapps' plan for the supposed dual carriageway underneath Stonehenge. Stonehenge. Tunnel. Okay. So don't dare try to put a tunnel underneath Stonehenge. Don't be stupid. So here we go. Current plans are for a 12.8 kilometre dual carriageway and a 3.2 kilometre tunnel underneath the World Heritage Site at Stonehenge, closely following the existing A303 route. I can't. No. So this is by Catherine Moore on the new civil engineer. So the debate over the merits of alternative Stonehenge tunnel options continues, with several organisations maintaining that modifications to the road scheme should be considered. In response to the World Heritage Organization UNESCO's report from its advisory mission visit to Stonehenge in April and National Highways' subsequent submission, the National Heritage Trust, Historic England and National Trust, and Stonehenge Alliance have all made the case again for the alternatives. National Highways estimates the scheme will cost 1.7 billion to deliver, but opponents have suggested that a longer tunnel would help avoid damaging the historic site. UNESCO report calls for various route modifications to be considered before the project is given the go-ahead, and emphasises that whilst the proposed tunnel removal of the current surface highway would have a positive impact on the World Heritage Site, the construction of a dual carriageway in cuttings at either end of the tunnel would adversely and irreversibly impact Stonehenge's integrity. The proposed western portal is seen as having an unacceptable and inappropriate adverse impact on the setting of the Winterbourne Stoke Barrow Group and physical and visual integrity of Stonehenge, and the scheme would not proceed without substantial amendment to avoid this impact to the fullest extent that is reasonably practicable. The EHT supports the existing scheme, and if extending the tunnel to the west is not possible, it believes the scheme should still proceed, given the lasting positive legacy it would bring to the World Heritage Site. In response to the report, EHT emphasised that overall the extended board tunnel extension option would be moderately beneficial to the outstanding universal value of the World Heritage Site in comparison to the current scheme, which is only slightly beneficial. The organisation also noted that Western Portal is not acceptable to UNESCO without the amendment, adding that UNESCO made an explicit recommendation to extend the tunnel to at the western end, but National Highways has concluded that the additional benefit derived from this action is outweighed by the cost. Oh, I don't see it. No. The scheme is all. The EHT added this scheme has been and continues to be scrutinised by UNESCO, Historic England, Wiltshire Council, EHT, National Trust, numerous archaeologists, and the scheme's own independent scientific committee. It is because of this involvement that the scheme has undergone significant improvements. EHT will continue to work together with National Highways and all the parties concerned to find the best solution for Stonehenge and the protection of the outstanding universal value of the WHS on behalf of everyone local, both local, national, and international, who wishes to visit and learn about this global prehistoric icon. I'm sorry, I don't like the idea at all. I'm not going to carry on reading the rest of it. I don't like the idea at all. Why? Why do you need a tunnel going underneath Stonehenge? Just adding danger where there doesn't need to be one. I believe it's I believe it's stupid and insulting. You may not, you may think not much of it, but me personally, as a pagan, as someone who values our national heritage, especially something that old, no, make a fucking road around it, you bastards. If you're gonna make a new road, make a new road around it. Don't build the new road underneath it. I can't deal with that. It's like there's less and less care for who we are as a country since Brexit. Again, yes, Brexit being brought into the subject again, but it's that wide range of problem. I'm going to end it here. I decided to do this off the hoof because it just so many all these things just crammed in my head. And yes, I made video. I just wanted to get it out at the end at this part of the week, so that come tomorrow with a new cycle, with a new news cycle, hopefully there's going to be more stuff for me to be pissed off about. Yay! Anyway, blessed Thursday, everyone. Hope everyone's a good day. Hang god dag. Spin shadow. Bye bye, everyone.